So, guys, I want to talk about AEW Forbidden Door, and I really want to see Christian Cage and the Patriarchy versus Bullet Club Gold. And there's a lot of reasons for this. That honestly, I really think Christian Cage will be the person that can actually reset a couple of divisions. Like, he knows how to be the perfect heel, but I also really think that with Christian Cage, that he's obviously that person that he also knows how to pick fights with people more than anybody else. It's him and Chris Jericho, but definitely Christian Cage is the number one person to do this. So my hope is that they have a match between Bullet Club Gold and Christian Cage and the Patriarch. What they're probably going to do is House of Black, but I don't want to see that. And the reason why you do this is because you want to get the trios title off of Bullet Club Gold, and then what you can do is you can have a feud between the House of Black and also Christian Cage and the Patriarch. And then after that, you can possibly do a few things. You can do Shane Taylor promotions. You can do something like Anthony Gogo is about to have a kid. So obviously, Christian Cage is talking smack about that. And then you can also even do something like, say, you look at maybe like Dalton Castle and the boys, or you look at another trios team like maybe like Top Flight or the Infantry or a few other ones, and keep going down a group of people. Then you can even do something at AEW Wembley Stadium at All In. You can do like Edge and Eddie Kingston and Mark Briscoe if you want to go down that direction, if they're available. Or you have Adam Copeland just appoint a team. He says it's going to be Danny Garcia and it's going to be two other people of his choosing that he really believes in. But I think with Christian, like as I said, he knows how to antagonize people. He's a really good heel. And then the other thing that it can do is that if he is a good heel, what would happen if you do something where he makes another deal with the EVPs, and he says, the Patriarch is going to take over Collision, the Patriarch is going to take over ROH, and you have Mark Briscoe versus Christian Cage at Death Before Dishonor. I think that would be a match that a lot of people would want to see. And then if you give Christian Cage the title, the father of ROH, I think that a lot of people would like to see that. But he's also the Trios champion, and I believe he's holding a title now, if I'm correctly. But the point of it is that, you need to kind of have people in very strong places, really. And also there are people who are who make really great champions because they know how to be good heels. Like, honestly, you look at Ric Flair in the 1980s. He was a great NWA champion because obviously he was the jerk off that everybody paid to see get defeated. And also, too, that, obviously there will be a point where you have to do Luchasaurus versus Christian Cage, but that can be a slow burn. But because if Christian Cage is actually antagonizing people and people want to actually see him lose the Trios title, imagine all the teams that you can do. You can even do The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn versus Christian Cage. You can even do something where they want to see like who's better. A battle among comrades. You do maybe the EVPs versus Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne, or you have Darby Allin with two other people, or you do something with or Don Callis, like Don Callis and Christian Cage, they actually have a feud with each other, and it's like Takeshita, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Will Ospreay versus Nick Wayne, Luchasaurus, and Christian Cage. But you do something where they're actually like, okay, we're gonna be enemies, and then maybe they become like a super faction. The Patriarch, the Don Callis family, and then the EVPs. The like the three families or the five families type of thing. Really, there's a lot that you can do with this. And then also too that there are people just lost in the water. Obviously, you have people like I think like Pac. Death Triangle, like they had some momentum, but they lost it. So what would happen if they fought Christian Cage and Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne, and they go through all that? Really, there's so much that they can do with it. Or you can have something where Christian Cage, he finds like another member, and that member is actually somebody he can just easily take advantage of, who actually wants to prove himself and has a lot of potential. So he has like three people, and then he actually gets the pinfall to do the dirty work, and eventually, it gets turned around on him. Like, there's so much storytelling that you can do this. Well, what about Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne versus Shane Taylor Promotions? I know I mentioned Anthony Gogo, but you've never seen that. What would happen if you had because Shane Taylor, he does have like a Devon Dudley type of voice. Really, what would happen if you had him actually give promos and you actually build towards something? There could be a lot of things that you can do with teams on ROH, and then also like teams on teams in AEW. What would happen if you want the Gates of Agony to actually beat something, and you want them to wrestle good matches, and you have like Luchasaurus versus Brian Cage? Imagine the big meat chance. What would happen if you want to do Samoa Joe, Hook, and Katsuyori Shibata versus Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne? That would be a really great match. Christian Cage versus Samoa Joe, a trade back to TNA Wrestling. So there's a lot that you can do and get out of it. Because the problem is that you had the House of Black hold it. They didn't really do anything. They just had that "is Billy Gunn going to retire" thing, and then you went off to the Acclaim, and they just held it just because after Wembley Stadium, they were always a really hot team, and they did nothing with it. And he gave the Bullet Club gold, I think twice really, and they've kind of really done nothing with it. So if you want that championship to mean something, if you want people to say, I want to go through everybody just to whip Christian Cage's ass, and then maybe at the very end you lead it to Killswitch versus Christian Cage, that could be something. Or if you lead it to Christian Cage actually using it to have matches, and then he picks a fight with Mark Briscoe, and then you have Christian Cage versus Mark Briscoe, Death Before Dishonor, make Christian Cage the ROH champion, and then he just says, because I'm the father, I'm going to defend this title at Wembley Stadium, and maybe do a rematch between Mark Briscoe and Christian Cage at Wembley Stadium. But obviously his trio, the trio that he's in, is going to help him win. Or you do something where Luchasaurus turns babyface, and then it's Luchasaurus versus Christian Cage for the ROH championship and the rule of the patriarchy, that at Wembley Stadium, that could be something. So I think for all purposes involved, the best thing that you can do is put the trios title on the Patriarch and do it at Forbidden Door and reset a lot of things. And then the last thing that I'll say is that obviously you want relationships with CMLL and and NJPW and ROH. So obviously, as I said, you kind of make Christian Cage like the Ric Flair, like the guy that everybody wants to have a tournament to go through, or everybody wants to beat everybody to get the wins that you need and go after Christian. I think that he's the guy to really reset the trios division. And I think that obviously that would be good for a lot of things. And speaking of which, I really need to do a Super Card of Honor video for you guys. And as I said, I really appreciate people watching this. Please like, share, and subscribe. And then also with all of this, I want to make AEW better. So if I can suggest some ideas or storylines or investments that they should make in people to make the company better, to make some more money, definitely, why not, really? And maybe Tony Khan will reach out to me one day and just say, dude, I'm going to give you some money and you can give me some of your ideas, So hopefully that will happen. But please like, share, and subscribe. You're going to hear a lot of awesome AEW, make AEW better again ideas.